Hello, dear viewers. Good morning, everyone. Hope you are at home. Hope you are safe. Welcome back to this episode, Learn at Home, which is brought to you by Kampala Parent School, NTV Uganda, and Mbiehuzia Bernard in particular. I'm here, your teacher of science. Last time, we were talking about classes of livers, and I left you with 5 questions. I'm very glad the majority of you have tried to attempt the questions. You have sent in your answers. The way we told you to always use the number which you see on the screen to WhatsApp. You WhatsApp, don't call. You send a video, you send an audio, you send a text, but do not call. I'm very glad that even P5s, P6, and some other classes are following, and I've received very many children of P5 and P6 sending in their answers. I'm going to sample out some few areas where you found problems, and I will be mentioning some few names of those people who tried to answer the questions. One of them is a P6 child from Nganwa Junior School, Kabwohe Shema District, and then Guma Graham, P7, Nganwa Junior School, same district. These people failed number 4. Number 4, the question was, why do we use less effort to move the load using first or second class levers? And the question is, the effort arm is longer than the load arm. Then another question, why is first class lever and even second class lever referred to as force multipliers? We said that it's because less effort is used to move a heavy load. That was very good. We have Muja Sharon Oligo from Oligo Primary School, Ajumani. I received your work and you did very well. It is only number 1 which you failed. When is a machine said to be in second class levers? So the answer is when the load is between the pivot and the load, when the load is between the pivot and the effort. Then number 3, why are first and second class levers called force multipliers? We have said less effort is used to lift heavy loads. Then there is this child called Mukobe Grace, P7B, Iganga Children's Center, still failed number 3. I've already gone through that number. Letasi Abigail, All Saints Junior, and then Letaru Natasha, P6, the same school. I received your work and you did well. We have Agaba Sharom Muhanguzi, P7 Brilliant Mother Care Preparatory School, Bunamaya. You did good work. Malinga Andrew, Teso Boarding Primary School, Soroti. You did good work. Tarema Samuel, Mother Care Preparatory, Bunamaya. You did good work. Aturinda Emmanuel, Kisure Primary School. I received your work. Then there is Mwesigwa Seba, P5 Blue, Green Hill Academy, Chibuli. You did good work. It is on the number 2 where we wanted you to mention examples of second class lever machines, and you said the feet. The feet. We don't like that word, the feet, because we have different animals with feet, including an amoeba which has a false foot called the pseudopodium. So that we want the answer human foot. Human foot, not the feet. Then we have Metoy Peace, Emmanuel, Victoria Montessori Entebbe. I received your work, you did good work. Then Nduru Juanita, Kampala Parent School, you did good work. Then after that, I'm going to look at the questions. The first question was from a candidate by the name of Ainomugishatesi Doto Vyarugaba Obed Mpabisi from Homes Darren Gayaza. The first question wants to see the diagram of a single movable pulley. So a single movable pulley, I'm going to write it on the board. I'm going to draw. So a single movable pulley. So that is a diagram of a single movable pulley. On every pulley, you are supposed to indicate the load, the force to be overcome, and the load in this case will be found at this point. Then the effort in a single movable pulley, the arrow for the effort points upwards. That's how you can differentiate a single fixed from a single movable. For the case of a single fixed, if this one is a wheel, then you'll find that the arrow for the single fixed pulley faces downwards. So this one here is the single fixed pulley, then this one is the single movable pulley. So here is the load, here this is the effort. Yes. Then wanted also to know, what is the advantage of using a single movable pulley? This one has one advantage, and the advantage is that the effort used is half the load, or you can just say less effort is used. For example, if the load here is 40 newtons, the effort is always half the load, which is a half times 40 newtons, and the effort will be 20 newtons. So advantage of using a single movable pulley, less effort is used to overcome or to lift the load. Then she still wanted to know, what is the disadvantage? This one, the advantage of a single fixed pulley, it does work very fast. But this one, it does the work slowly. So the disadvantage of using a single movable pulley, it does the work slowly. Then another one, it does not change the direction of force. A single fixed pulley changes the direction of force, and that's what enables it to do the work very fast. But this one moves together with the load. The effort moves together with the load in the same direction, and therefore it does the work slowly. Then she's still asking, how do you find the mechanical advantage? Mechanical advantage of every machine is given by the formula load over effort. Now, for example, I have the load, I have the effort, so the mechanical advantage will be 40 newtons, which is the load, divided by 20 newtons, which is the effort, and the final answer will be here 1, here 2, Newton with Newton, and then you come up with 2. Mechanical advantage does not have units. Why? It is a ratio of two numbers having the same units. And even if you have not calculated, mechanical advantage of every single movable pulley is 2. Why? The effort is half the load. So that's why it will be a constant. Then for the single fixed pulley, the mechanical advantage is 1. So I'm done with the question from Tessie Ainomujisha. Question number 2 is from St. Michael Nansana, but this child did not mention the name properly. He sent the video. You can listen to the video. The question is, why is friction said to be a nuisance force? When I was introducing this topic, I talked about friction. When we talk about friction as a nuisance force, we are looking at the dangers of friction. So, friction is a nuisance force. 1, it produces unnecessary noise. Whenever you are opening or closing the door, sometimes you hear some noise. That noise is produced because of friction. Then friction produces unnecessary heat. Whenever two things rub against each other, because of friction, a lot of heat will be produced. Friction causes tear and wear of objects. It makes the car tires, the shoe soles wear out, and so many others. Then there is another person called Abigail Letasi. The question is, what is a moment? What is a moment? So the simple definition of a moment, it is the product of the force and the distance from the pivot. If this one is the force and this is the distance from the pivot. When you multiply the two, what you get is what we call a moment. A moment is the product of the force and the distance from the pivot. Then the another question, state the principle of moments. State the principle of moments. So the principle of moments states that the load force multiplied by the load arm is equal to the effort force multiplied by the effort arm if the river is balancing. Or we can say the sum of clockwise moments is equal to the sum of anti-clockwise moments for a balanced river. Then lastly, this girl, Nduru Juanita, sent a video appreciating the work done by the teachers of Kampala Parent School. Thank you so much, and God bless you. So I still remind you to keep on sending answers whenever we give you this work. Then another thing, I know some people did not start with us. You missed some lessons, but we are going to send you a link. You'll be seeing the link running on the screen. You will use that link, then you go to the YouTube and you download all the work you want, and you'll not find any problems. Last time, remember, we talked about the 3 classes of levers. Who remembers the 3 classes? Yes, Margaret, first class levers. Yes, Kato, second class levers. Yes, Moses, third class levers. That's great. It's good you remember. Now, using the idea, I want to first pick out only one class. And after looking at that class, there is a law. In science, we have what we call laws. A law is a principle. Not principle. I know some schools are headed by principles like Kampala Parents. I know we have our principle, and that word principle is here. Principle, the head of an institution. But today we are going to look at a certain principle. Principle can be a law, can be a guideline. So we are going to look at a law of levers. We looked at levers, but there is a law governing all lever machines. So now, before I do anything, let me write my heading, the law of levers. The law of levers is sometimes called the principle of moments. Look at the spelling of principle. Principle of moments. Let's underline properly. Principle of moments. Before I bring in the principle, can we first try to use these words in a sense, or rather we first pronounce the words. Everybody, law. Law. Can we spell the word law together? Yes, law. L-A-W. Levers, we did it very well. Then we have the word principle. Can we spell the word principle together? 1, 2, go. P-R-I-N-C-I-P-L-E. Are we together? Principle is another word to mean the law in this case. Then we have the word moment. Everybody say moment. Moment. Can you spell the word moment? Moment. Let's spell together. 1, 2, go. Good. M-O-M-E-N-T. I know in English you use the word moment to mean something else. I'm teaching at the moment. But in this case, I'm using the word moment in as far as machines are concerned. Now, what is a moment? We want to first know, what is a moment? What is a moment? Who knows the meaning of a moment? Yes, I can see some child in Mbarara Preparatory. I can see you are trying to define. A moment, in short, is a turning force. A turning force like this one here is a moment. That is one simple definition. Another one, a moment is the product of the force and the distance from the pivot. We looked at different machines. Mainly, I'm going to use these two. This one is my load. This is the load. The distance from the load force to the pivot is this. So when I get the load and I multiply by the load arm, the load distance from the pivot, what I get is called a moment. So in short, a moment is the product of the force and its distance from the pivot. If I apply my effort here, effort is the force. The distance from the effort to the pivot is the effort arm. So when I get the effort applied times its distance from the pivot, what I get will be a moment. So in short, we say a moment is the product of the force and its distance from the pivot. Can everybody say that? What's a moment? A moment is the product of the force and its distance from the pivot. Let us write that one down first, then we shall proceed. Let's write that. A moment is the product of the force and its distance from the pivot. That is the simplest definition. Yes. So, if I have some force here, for example, 40 newtons, and the distance here is 2 meters, the product of these 40 newtons times the distance here will be a moment. Let me illustrate this one on the board using a red marker. I know some people like red. Yes, can I get the name given to this part by my good child from P7R by the name of Daphne? Oh, good. This is the pivot. So this is the turning point pivot or fulcrum. So if that is the pivot and I'm weighing, for example, maize of 50 newtons, and the 50 newtons of maize have been placed, for example, 3 meters from the pivot. Now, the product of this force and this distance is a moment. So we can say moment 1, I have different moments. So this, I'm going to call this one moment 1. Moment 1 will be the force, and in this case I'm going to call this one the load force. Load force times the load arm. Whereby the load arm means the distance between the load and the pivot. Load arm. Then, now I can substitute, meaning it will be 50 times 3. 50 newtons times 3 meters. Yes, so this one will give me 150 newtons. So 150 here is the moment. It is the product of the force and its distance from the pivot. Yes, I can have another force this side. For example, I can have 75 newtons. Maybe I can put this side a bag of posho. I can put this side a bag of posho. Now, if I put a bag of posho this side, and I put 50 newtons this side, using the idea of first and second class levers, which distance do you think is more than the other or is bigger than the other? We have 3 meters here from 50 to the pivot. We have the distance which is not known from 75 to the pivot. And remember, this machine is balancing. So which side do you think is greater? Is it the left-hand side or the right-hand side? Correct. The one which is more is this one. Why? There is a smaller load. If you have a smaller load and a bigger load, and you want the two to balance, the one which is heavier, the one which is bigger, should come closer to the pivot, because we said the longer the effort arm, the less the effort applied. If you are in P7 and you are 50 newtons and you want to balance with your dad on a seesaw, dad must sit closer to the pivot because for him he's heavy, and for you have to move away from the pivot because you are lighter. Are we together? So now, if I put this one, for example, I can put 2 meters. So it means this one now is a moment on its own, product of the force and the distance. So if I get the product of this force and this distance, it is another moment. So I can say moment 2 will be still effort force now. When one side you have the load force, the other side you will be having a different force which is applied on a machine to overcome the load. So effort force times effort arm is another moment. Can we substitute mathematically? This one will be, I know most students like mathematics. Yes, Musinguzi. Great. It will be 75 newtons times 2 meters. What is the product of these two? And don't say, this one is science, so I will not show all the working. In mathematics, whenever we are calculating, you have to show working the way you do in math. So here what you do, for me when I was young, I was not good at multiplying, but whenever I could apply, whenever I could multiply vertically, then it would become very easy. So I can come here and say part of working. I know some schools use side work, but for me I use part of working because it is part of the work. I can't call it side work. So 75 times 2. Yes, Nelsie, what is 2 times 5? 10, correct, 10. Will you write 10 here? No. Get 10 here. Write the number in the place value of 1s, which is 0. Then carry the number in the place value of 10s. What is 2 times 7? Yes, Moses. That's correct. 15. Is it 15? No, someone is saying no. It's not 15. Who can give us the answer? Yes, Josiah. 14. Correct. You should learn tables if you want to manage these numbers. Tables, you know how table 2. So it will be 14. But remember, we regrouped. There is this number in the place value of 10s, which we brought here. So it will be 14 plus 1, which will be 15. Meaning, 75 times 2 will be 150 newtons. Now, this is our moment 2. So we have moment 1, we have moment 2. And for this lever to balance, for the bar to balance to find it at this level, the moment on one side of the pivot should be equal to the moment on the other side of the pivot. Now you can see the moment 1 is equal to moment 2. What does that imply? That this bar will be balancing. You will not find one side down, another one up. All of them will be here because the product of the force here and the distance here is the same as the product of the force here and the distance this side. So we can conclude and say M1 equals M2. For the lever to balance, if it cannot balance, then you'll find these ones cannot be equal. If, for example, if you multiply this and get 180, it means this one will be bigger, so it will move down, and the one which is 150 will go up. If this one, if this side you get, for example, 100, 100 is smaller than 150. So 100 will move up, and this 150 will move down because the moments are not the same. But for the lever to balance like this side, the product of the force and the distance must be equal to the product of the force times and the distance this side. Are we together? So from that, children, we can get the law of levers. And the law of levers, in short, we say, is that what we are, it is this one here. You can see M1 is equal to M2. What was our M1? M1 was load force times load arm. Equals M2. What is our M2? M2 is here. Effort force times effort arm. In summary, that is the law. But when you are told to state the law of levers, you say The law of levers states that, listen carefully, children, can you repeat after me? The law of levers states that, good, the load force multiplied by the load arm is equal to the effort force multiplied by the effort arm. Can we say that together, everybody? The law of levers states that the load force multiplied by the load arm is equal to the effort force multiplied by the effort arm. If the lever is balancing, when you reach senior 3, senior 4, we shall bring in another word, equilibrium. But because you are still younger, we are going to reserve that word for the time being, but we shall be adding that word. When the body, when the lever, when the machine is in equilibrium. Are we together, children? So let's write the law and say, the law of levers states that the load force multiplied by the load arm is equal to the effort force multiplied by the effort arm. If you don't want to use the word multiplied, you can use the word which means the result we get after multiplying, and that is the word product. Everybody say product. Product. So we can say the law of levers states that the product of the load force and the load arm is equal to the product of the effort force and the effort arm. We looked at the law of levers. I know each and every person now has mastered. Can we say it together? 1, 2, go. The load force multiplied by the load arm is equal to the effort force multiplied by the effort arm. Keep it up. I told you we can call this one the law of moments or the principle of moments. So we can state it in another way. Another way we can state this point, we can say the sum, you can see, when you add all the moments this side, the sum should be equal to the moments on the other side. So we can say that the sum of clockwise moments is equal to the sum of anti-clockwise moments if the lever is in, there is the word which I mentioned, let me give it to you now because you have mastered. When the lever is in equilibrium. When the lever is in equilibrium. When the lever is balancing. When it is straight. Yes. The sum of clockwise moments is equal to the sum of anti-clockwise moments for a lever, for a bar which is balancing. If you use, like, for example, this seesaw, and now Ryan and Uthman sit this side of the seesaw, 2 people, but then they are trying to lift one person who is heavy on the opposite side. If this bar is to balance and you find it at the same level, if you add the force times distance for Ryan plus Uthman's force times distance for Uthman from the pivot will be equal to the product of this force on the opposite side and the distance for it to balance. Even if you have 10 forces on the same side, you add them. When you add them, then you find that the sum is the same as the one on the opposite side. That's what we mean by being in equilibrium. Okay? That's what it means. Now, we are going to use this law of levers to calculate some few numbers which are be given unknown. For example, on this diagram, you can be given the moments this side. Then this side, you find one part is missing. You can be given the force without the distance. You can be given the distance without the force. So using the law of levers, it will simplify each and everything, and you can get whatever you want using the law. Here, I know good mathematicians, you are always told to maintain the units. These are newtons, these are meters. And when you multiply at the end of the day, you still come up with newtons. Why? It is still a force. That's SI unit for force. SI unit, it means standard international of units. A unit which is used globally, worldwide, is SI unit. So the standard unit for force is newtons. The standard unit for weight is newtons. So we shall always use newtons and newtons. Then in case you are given, for example, one side kilograms, only that, and you are told to find the weight on the opposite side. When you are to get the weight, if you are to get weight on the other side, you will get the weight as kg. You add F to show that it is a force, because weight is a force. You don't just put kilograms as if it is mass. Kilograms, that is a standard unit for mass. Okay? But again, if you are given weight, or rather the kilograms, for example, 10 kilograms, it is very easy to change kilograms to newtons. How? We know that to get force, to get any force is given by the formula MA. You learned that in your P5. MA, where M is the mass and A is acceleration due to gravity in air. So the mass in this case is 10 kilograms. So if you want to change it into force, into newtons, you multiply by 10. Why? Acceleration due to gravity in air is approximately 10 newtons. So now, in this case, you come up with 100 newtons. Because you'll be given a number, then you find kilograms, and you want to calculate, and they tell you find the weight or find the force. So I don't want to find the force as, for example, 20 kilograms. That will be wrong. It should be 20 kgf. If you cannot call it 20 kgf, multiply by 10, and it becomes 200 newtons. We shall learn that as we continue with our work. Now, I'm giving you some 2 examples. Then after that, I'll give you some 3 numbers for you to try. Find the value of y in the diagram below. So we have 2 forces, we have 2 moments, and we have our pivot here. You cannot have moments without a pivot, the turning point. So for example, here we have y. Here we have 4 meters. This side we have 60 kgf. Then here we have, for example, 2 meters. Yes. Now, a person who understands moments can easily tell that this one is heavier. Why? It is closer to the pivot than this force. So when you calculate and you find that you have a number here which is bigger than 60, just you hand in your paper knowing that you have already failed. Because we said that the heavier thing should be closer to the pivot. Then the lighter one should be far away from the pivot. So by looking at the diagram, I can tell that I'm going to get a value less than 60. Because this is closer to the pivot, it is 2 meters. Meaning this one, which is 4 meters, must be lighter. Understood, children? Good. I think you are following. I can see someone nodding vertically, meaning he has got the point. Great. So if you are told to find the value of y, don't suffer. Apply the law of levers, the principle of moments. And in this case, when you are calculating, you don't write the whole law in words. You use the short form. So we shall say, from our law of levers, which states that the load force times the load arm is equal to the effort force times the effort arm. Good. Whenever I'm doing some calculations, I just enjoy. Because mathematics, science, they are all good appetizers whenever you are going to eat. So whenever I'm going to eat for me, I first get my number, I calculate, I gain more appetite, and I eat very well. Good. So load force times load arm is equal to effort force times effort arm. Substitute correctly. Where is our load force? This one here. This is the load. This is the effort. This is the effort arm. And everybody, this one is load arm. Excellent. So substitute and we'll enjoy. Load force. Instead of load force now, we don't have any value. We are just going to put this unknown y times load arm. Load arm is the distance from the load to the pivot. So this one is times 4. You can ignore the units, no problem in this case. Then this side, it will be effort force. What is it? 60. You can ignore the units, then times 2. Put a full stop, punctuate your work. Even mathematics, you can punctuate, no problem. End of mathematical sentence. All right, so what is y times 4? What is y times 4? Yes, Bridget. 4y. Great. This is 4y equals, what is 60 times 2? Someone is telling me 62. My teacher, when I was still in school, whenever I could fail such, then he could tell me that I was mathematically blind. But I can see some people are also mathematically blind. Someone telling me 60 times 2 is 62. You don't understand the meaning of this symbol, this sign, this operation. Multiply. 60 times 2 is, and if you don't know, have part of working. Get 60 multiplied by 2. 2 times 0. 0, any number times 0 is 0. 6 times 2 is 12. So it means this side we shall have 12. But we want y. So you cannot stop here. We want y. Find the value of y, not 4y. So what is making y not to be y alone? It has 4. And in mathematics, my teacher told me that a number written before the unknown is called the coefficient. So this one is called the coefficient. So divide each side by the coefficient. So it will be 4y. Everybody? Out of 4, I like it. Where are the good mathematicians? Wow, equals 120 divided by 4. We can now reduce. Who can reduce? What is 4 divided by 4? Hassan. Good. 1. Any number divided by itself, you get 1. What is 120 divided by 4? Or by 4? Someone doesn't know. We can reduce slowly. We can begin with by 2. By 2 in 4 is 2. By 2 in 120, 60. Yes, in 0 concept, when you are dividing such a number, you can first ignore a 0. You just say, what is 6 divided by 2? 3. Then you put a 0 after. So it will be here 1, here 30. So y equals 30. Now at this point, a unit is needed. What is 30? You first look at the force it has been competing with. In which units is it? It is in kgf. So you are free to come here and say kgf. Kgf, kilogram force. Or, I told you, you can change 30 kilograms F to newtons. Whereby I told you to get every force, we get mass times acceleration due to gravity, ma. Or you can say mg. Gravity can be represented by a or g. So this one will be now m, which is 30 times 10. I told you acceleration due to gravity in air is approximately 10 newtons. So get kilograms times 10. What you get? Newtons. So this one will give us 0 concept. So you can, any number times 1 is that number. Do you know that, everybody? Yes, that's why we call 1 an identity element. It does not change any number when dividing or multiplying. 5 times 1, 5. 10 times 1, 5. Rather, 10 times 1, 10. 60 times 1, 60. Even when dividing, 1 does not change a number. 5 divided by 1, 5. 10 divided by 1, 10. So even here, we just get 3 times 1, 3. Just carry the zeros, the 3 zeros. I had a very good teacher of mathematics in P3 called Kaganzi Margaret. She taught me this very well. She said when you are multiplying numbers with zeros, first multiply the other numbers, then just transfer the what? The zeros. That's what I've done. I've done it with ease. So our answer, when this one is given, the two answers will be marked. So you come here, double underline. Don't think underlining is only in math. So we can accept this or 300 newtons. Double underline. And you pass each and everything. Are we together? These ones can be human beings, and they say, for example, this is John and this is Alex. Then you can be asked the question, how far is John from Alex? So if you asked how far is John from Alex, you start from where Alex is, you come here, you get 2 plus 4. So it means John is 4 meters plus what? 2 meters from Alex. Are we together? So you should know that. In case you are asked to find the distance, you use the same procedure, the same method. So after looking at this example, children, after looking at the law, I'm going to give you some 3 numbers to try. And after trying, when I come back, after this exercise, I'll add you more. We want to do a lot of practice. I have some 3 numbers, only 3. I want you to take your time, study each diagram, apply the law of levers, and calculate whatever you have not understood. Do whatever you want, and when you fail, of course, failing is not a problem. We have already told you, just try. When you try, whatever you don't understand, you are free to call us on our number, which is always on the screen, and we explain more. Now, in this case, this 40, who can tell us the name of this 40? Let's describe each part. The load force. What about Y? Great, the load arm. What about 30? Effort force. And 4, effort arm. Meaning, what shall we apply? Load force times load arm equals effort force times effort arm. Substitute, get the value of Y. We have 2 people here. We have this young boy by the name of Peter and this Hamza. You can see now this one sits 4 meters from the pivot and he weighs 45 kilograms, and now you are told to find the value of P. This Hamza sits 6 meters from the pivot. Now, when finding the value of P here, you are free to put any units. Why? You have not been restricted to find the weight, to find the force. They just say find P. So you can maintain the units. But to be safe, add F. You say 45 kg F. There you are safe. So that's it. And if you ask now, how far is Peter from Hamza? Who can answer the question? How far is Peter from Hamza? I like the answer, 10 meters. How do you get it? You get the effort arm, rather the load arm for Peter plus the effort arm for Hamza. So it will be 4 meters plus 6 meters, which will give you 10 meters. Then lastly, we have 2 girls, Agnes and Joan. Agnes is 400 newtons. Now, who can tell me the mass of this girl in kilograms? Correct. 40. How do you get 40? Get 400 divided by 10. Because to get newtons, remember we multiply by 10. So now to get kilograms, we divide by 10, the opposite of multiplication. And this one weighs 500 newtons, meaning this one is, what is the mass of this person? 50 kilograms. So we want you to tell us how far is Joan from the pivot in order to balance with Agnes, who sits 5 meters from the pivot. So I'm giving you some 2 means. Copy the work properly, draw the diagram properly, and then after that, send in your answers. Whatever you have not understood, send your question on WhatsApp. You can record the video, you can record audio, but we still emphasize, don't call. Don't call. Otherwise, after this, we shall come to some other numbers which are connected to this, and we do a lot of practice. I want each and every person to master this number, because these are the common questions in your exams, in PLE, and any other internal examination. Stay tuned. Don't leave NTV Uganda.
To participate, send a short WhatsApp video of yourself asking the teacher a question about the topic to 0705 031 609.